Hi, it's Sherry Truhlar with Red Apple Auctions, and today I want to talk about storytelling. It's a good time to talk about storytelling because we're in the thick of the fall fundraising season, but also because we are booking quite heavily for 2022. What a shift it has been from just even a few months ago to all of the contracts that I've got going out for 2022. It's clearly renewed interest in having events. People are going to be figuring out what their strategies are. If that sounds like you, by all means, feel free to set up an appointment on my website, redappleauctions.com, and we can talk about your gala. Storytelling is something that I want to visit about because this past summer, I attended the National Auctioneers Association conference and show. It was held in Minneapolis. I attended virtually. I didn't attend in person, but one of the speakers that I heard online was Lori Jacobwith. And I know Lori from years ago. I want to say it was back in 2010-ish, where we were part of a social media tribe, as it was called back then, at the dawn of social media. We were in a group doing some different business building things, but we've had more than one webinar, I think, throughout the years. And then she and I are both authors of this book, along with some my esteemed colleagues over here. You can read about her chapter on storytelling in this book. My chapter is on silent auctions specifically. We were gearing this towards small nonprofits, the Essential Fundraising Handbook for Small Nonprofits. It astounds me that we printed this in January of 2015, and all of us to this day get a check, well, not a check, but we get paid every month on the sales of this book. Still available, still selling popularly. You can check it out online and see if it speaks to you, especially if you are, again, a small nonprofit. So she talks about storytelling there. She does some great work with storytelling. It's great work with clients, teaching them about that. And that is what she spoke at the Auctioneers Convention about as well. And then after speaking there, one of the writers at the NAA apparently took her comments, and in the magazine that we have that goes out to all the auctioneers, called Auctioneers Magazine, it was again talked about here, powerful storytelling for fundraising. So I'm going to take my notes where she shares a framework for how to tell a great story, develop a great story. And I'm going to compare it to what was in the magazine just to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. And we're going to give you this framework for how you can build a great story. Now, I should mention that starting out, Lori said the great stories have three parts. They teach, they inspire, and there can either be a subtle or an overt call to action. So for instance, when I'm up on stage and I'm asking people to raise money or to give money by raising their hand, that's a fund a need, a raise the paddle. That's a pretty overt call to action. We're asking people to make a donation right there and then. But you may do something, maybe it's a board member who's hosting a little get together in their garden, a porch party, if you will. Maybe you're doing something where you're just inviting folks to hear about some of the progress that's been made with your nonprofit, and you're sharing a story there. Those might be more subtle calls to action. You're sharing a story. You're not asking people directly to make a donation, but yet you are conveying your mission, and they very well may make a donation or have some sort of action from that story. So both could be, this story framework could be used for either one of those. So she has 6 steps. Step number one is you want to identify one person. Lori's belief is that she likes to have one story that is shared at the event, and that tidbits of that story are shared before, during, and after the event. But it's not like 4 stories or 8 stories about 8 different people at your event. It's one person story that's shared. She says you can get about 2 years of shelf life out of a story like that. Before the event, it might be you're sharing tidbits of that story in your registration page, your invitation, your website, your social media. At the event itself, that person might be sharing the story. And then post-event, that person could have a video that you send out that thanks people for attending and for donating. That could go on social medias too. That could go on thank you cards, all that sort of thing. So there's all different ways. She said, I like to share it in 17 different ways that you can do that before they even hear the full story. She said, okay, so identify one person. That's framework step number 1. Framework step number 2, learn and jot down as much about that person as possible. I have in my notes, what can you not get off your mind from this person? What do they look like? What age are they? Maybe they've got a stripe of shocking gray hair on their left-hand side of their head. Maybe they're crippled and bent over when they walk. Maybe their looks belie their age. They look so much youthful. They've got a youthful glow. What is it that speaks to you? Kind of those physical characteristics, perhaps. What just can you not get out of their mind? Their laugh. They had an infectious laugh. Step number 3, you're going to write down all of the exact results. In the magazine, it says write down the exact measurable results. So, for instance, they have a home now, right? They graduated from high school, might be that result. They can see. These are the factual results, the results that the nonprofit has about that story. Step number 4, identify any transformations that person has experienced. In the magazine, it says conflict is the oxygen of a story. So I jotted down some examples. How did it feel when he was 47 years old and he finally graduated from high school? Did he feel proud he was graduating with his kids, or he graduated a few years before his kids graduated from high school? Did he feel excited about his future prospects? What was that transformation? How did the girl feel when she saw a bicycle for the first time and knew she was now going to be able to learn how to ride it? How did she feel? Step number 5, use emotionally connecting words. So those of you that are good creative writers, you'll have no problems with this. Those of you that aren't, you might want to grab a thesaurus, but here's some examples. Explosive energy. She was cautiously hopeful. Gnarled hands. Her hands were so gnarled she could not brush her daughter's hair. Uncomfortably shy. He smiled ear to ear. She was precious and vulnerable, curled up there on the curb. You're going to describe the emotion that causes someone to feel. That's step number 5. In the magazine, it says use words that are emotionally connecting. Okay. And then finally, step number 6, fit your story into the framework. The story can be used in varying formats and share it everywhere. Quotes from the person, photos, shares before the event. In the magazine, it says videos, pictures, quotes, regularly leading up to the event because it increases passion. Good. Now, something else that Lori shared that well, she shared a lot. I'm only sharing with you a small fragment of what she shared. But one of the things that kind of launched into my brain, and I thought, I was never able before to maybe put words to it, but I knew that it wasn't great. I just didn't know why it wasn't great. And she says, do not say, help us with our goal, because nobody cares about the goal. And I've always felt that too, that sometimes we'll have like $100,000 goal or a $500,000 goal or a $50,000 goal, pick a number. But where does that come from? And why do we care? Why does the guest care? There's got to be more meat to it. And Lori said it, and I was like, there it is. People don't care what the nonprofit needs. They want to know what the clients need. So if you need $100,000 to get furniture into the building so you can open the doors and serve the community with whatever it is that you're going to do, then explain that you're going to be changing the lives of the 4,000 people in this community once you are able to open those doors. And that is why this $100,000 is coming into play. They're going to affect the people in this community in whatever form or fashion your nonprofit has, the impact that you're making. But that's what you want to drill down into. People don't care much about the goal. They don't care what the nonprofit needs. They want to know what the clients need, All kinds of good stuff here. Yeah, good stuff. All right. So again, if you're interested, you can go to Lori's website for sure. Lori Jacobwith, that's who you'd search on. You can go to Amazon. You can buy the book, The Essential Fundraising Handbook for Small Nonprofits, and get more than just storytelling in it. You want to talk about auctions? Hey, give me a call at redappleauctions.com. You can go ahead and set up an appointment with me, and we can visit about your event. As always, good luck to you at your fundraising gala.